Would you ever consider living in America based on the safety level?
Definitely not now, especially because we're like white and stuff. I think it's not as severe, like we're not the ones facing the danger.
I prefer staying UK.
I'd consider living in America for sure.
I would love to live in America. When I went there, I said I'd love to live there.
The fact that like every week there's a new shooting, not even school shootings, like there's the mall shooting. I would like to move there, but it definitely like pushes me away from it.
I think it would have to be very specific, sort of like dream job, maybe not for a long time. On the whole, definitely I'd say leaning towards no, especially because places like London are much better in my opinion.
Now I'm sort of cooling off wanting to live there, but if I did move to America, it would be somewhere more like New York where, you know, there's not like open carry and stuff like that. I would never really consider moving to any of these really pro-gun states.
California or New York or none of the like conservative southern states.
Okay, they want a green card. They look at you as a fucking way out of that fucking shithole economy.
The worst part about all of this is that it doesn't surprise me at all because I get this type of comments all the time. I'm from Spain and my husband is from the US. I came to the US when I accepted a scholarship to run track at a Division 1 school and I met him there. But my plan was never to stay in the US. I had a great life in Spain. Also, Garrett, amigo, you talk like if getting a permanent resident card, which is the correct term for green card, was easy. If you don't know how the immigration process works, please shh. When you apply for your green card based on marriage, you cannot leave the country or work. I wasn't able to work or leave the country for almost 1 year. The immigration process drained you, not just economically because it's super expensive, but also emotionally because you feel worthless. It tells me how uneducated you are because the European passport, specifically the Spanish one, is so powerful. And Italy, the country that you're talking crap about, just like Spain, have amazing quality life. We have mandatory maternity and paternity leave, affordable education, healthcare, childcare, and yes, the salaries and career opportunities here in the US are amazing. But for most Europeans, less is more. And they'd rather work to live instead of live to work. So now ask yourself, do you really think that we need to be rescued, that we need that green card, we need that better life? Bro, I don't think so.
We're all told we can be president and rock stars and millionaires. Europeans don't feel that way.
This is actually so true. Like, most Europeans don't think they could be president of the United States of America. And that's true because they're not from here.
Europeans do not believe in work-life balance because they believe in life with a little bit of work sprinkled in there. I'm in Madrid right now, and people go to work here at about 9 a.m. Nothing's open before that. If you want to go to Starbucks at 6 in the morning to start your day and grind, it's not open yet. Everybody takes their damn sweet time here, and then from 1 to 4, everybody goes on siesta where they go home and take a nap, go for a walk, go hang out with their friends, and then people work for like a few hours after their siesta, and then everybody's out all night. It was 11 p.m. last night, and there were kids on a field trip going to a dinner in Madrid. I'm like, shouldn't you guys be in bed? Like, people here value social life and just enjoying the day and flaneuring and gallivanting about the land so much more than working. And it's kind of interesting because I love it in the sense that people prioritize making memories and being with their friends over work. But I also don't like it because the lifestyle that I've afforded to live in the U.S. is because I've worked hard. And if I had to rescind that lifestyle to live a basic life here, I don't know if I could do it. It's a very different cultural dynamic. And then they call vacations holiday in Europe. I'm going on holiday for the week. Europeans are on holiday every other week. I run a business, a marketing agency, and in the summertime, our European clients will be like, I'm on holiday this week, be back next week. Then they're like, hey, just to let you know, I'm going on another holiday this week, and then it's a bank holiday the following week, and then I'm going on an extended holiday the week after. It's like, in the summer, people barely work, and they take their siestas and they take their naps, and things fully close down so people can rest. And compared to the U.S., it's a culture shock, and I have mixed feelings about it because it seems great on the surface, but if I actually did it, I feel like I would lack purpose and motivation and the desire to upgrade myself as a human being. So work-life balance, it's more like life with a little bit of work.
What if everything you've been told about the American dreams depends on where you are standing? For generation, millions of people dreams of moving to the United States. America was seen as the land of opportunity, where hard work could lead to success, regardless of where you came from. But today, a different conversation is taking place online and in international media. More Europeans are asking us a pressing question: why would we move to America if we already enjoy a better quality of life at home? Many Americans are surprised by this reaction. They grew up believing that the United States is the most desirable destination in the world. Yet surveys and personal stories from Europeans often point to a different priorities. Instead of chasing higher salaries, many say they value affordable healthcare, generous vacation time, paid parental leave, safer communities, and a stronger work-life balance. And the only difference between Europeans and Americans is that Europeans work to live and Americans live to work. So guys, let's continue watching this clip till the end. Please subscribe if you haven't, like, share. I'll be back with more comments.
I'm from the United States, but I've been living in Spain for the past 5 years, and I've come to the conclusion that I will most likely never move back to the United States for many reasons. So let's talk about, for me, what is the most important reason, and it has to be the Spanish lifestyle. It's incredible. I truly feel like the people here enjoy living their lives to the maximum. Even on a Monday, you'll see people out having drinks with friends, on a terrace, sitting in the sun. Life doesn't just stop for them during the week. They don't wait for the weekend to enjoy life. And you'll see people having lunch with their families for 5, 6, 7 hours on the weekend, just spending that special time together. Whereas in the US, everything is so rushed. If I go have lunch with my aunt, for example, she's eating the food so fast and just dying to go back home. And here you actually don't feel rushed. Like, you have time to just sit there, talk, and enjoy being with other people. I mean, obviously the food and wine is incredible, don't get me wrong, but it's not about who has the biggest house, who has the nicest car. It's just about making money to live and take a nice vacation, spend time with your loved ones. And people don't really care about your work as much, which I think is so important. We put way too much emphasis on, oh, but what do you do? Oh, you don't work at a Big Four? Okay, you're irrelevant to me. And here, there's none of that, well, from what I've noticed. And I think, honestly, maybe that's why Spain has one of the longest life expectancies as well. People are just overall healthier here. So thank you, Spain, for showing me what really matters in life, and honestly, for showing me the best possible way to do life and to live.
Americans lose their minds over this, but in Germany, if you lose your job, the government pays you around 60% of your salary for up to a year while you look for something new. I only stayed on it for a month because I found a job that was more exciting to me than the prospect of, in my case, hanging out. But that safety net gave me the freedom to say no to jobs I knew I didn't want, or focus on upskilling or learning or resting. And that's the power of guaranteed income. It's not about avoiding work, it's about avoiding bad work. And if a safety net makes people refuse bad jobs, maybe the problem isn't the safety net, it's the employers.
I didn't realize how many people did not know this. There are only 2 countries in the world that tax based on citizenship and not residency. And those 2 countries are a really small country named Eritrea, which I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, and the US. Those are the only 2 countries in the world that tax you because you are a citizen and not because you're living there. That means that even if you do not live in the US or do not ever plan to live in the US, but you have American citizenship, you're still paying taxes to the US. I live in Italy. I don't ever plan on leaving Italy. Italy is home. I don't ever plan on living in the US again. However, because I am an American citizen and I have an American passport, I still have to file my taxes in the US and pay US taxes, even though I do not ever plan on living there ever again. There are certain tax treaties set up between the US and certain countries to basically minimize the damage of double taxes. But regardless, no matter what, because I am a citizen, I still have to file and pay US taxes. The only way to not pay double taxes is to either move back to the US so you're not paying taxes in the country that you're living in, or renounce your American citizenship. Which, renouncing your American citizenship, it maybe, it's an ideal option for somebody who was born in the US as a baby and then moved to a different country as a baby, and so they don't really feel American, they never lived in the US, they don't, they feel more like the country that they lived in. Maybe it's an ideal option then, but even so, it's not easy to renounce your citizenship. You have to pay a really large fine, you have to go through a really extensive interview process to basically understand what you're doing, because you can't just ask for it back. It's a big deal, obviously. But those are the only 2 ways. Otherwise, you're paying US taxes because you are a citizen and not a resident. Yep.
Dear Americans, you are not expats here in Europe. You are immigrants. Yeah, when you leave the America to come to live in our countries, for example, in my home country, Portugal, and you come here to brag how cheap it is. You should all come here. when in fact it's not cheap for Portuguese people. You are not an expat. You are not a digital nomad. You are an immigrant. Just like Mexican people in your country. The difference is Mexican people actually learn your language, for example. While you are here, you live, for example, in Portugal or in Spain for like 3 years and you barely know how to say thank you in our languages. Also, Mexican people in your country have jobs that actually contribute for the country they are currently living in. So in your country, United States. While you, no, because you still work to your own country. So yeah, start respecting immigrants in your country because you also are an immigrant in our countries.
I'm in Germany right now, accidentally during the Euro Cup, and there is not a single thing in the United States that any person gets this enthusiastic about. Think of the craziest event in the US, the most passionate group of people doesn't even hold a candle. Like, I have been accused of being uncaring and having no enthusiasm or excitement about anything because I have a deep voice and I have a very sort of neutrally kind of bored or mad looking expression on my face at all times. And I don't really get like animated about things, but compared to this, everybody in the United States is just me.
Many people in the United States were so mad that the Super Bowl halftime show was in Spanish, talking about, we're an English-speaking country, we didn't understand him, that's so disrespectful. Meanwhile, one of the most popular songs in Europe is in one of the hardest languages to learn that is not related to any Indo-European language. And it is impossible for people who don't speak Finnish to understand what's going on. This cha-cha-cha in the Finnish language has been played all over Europe. People are vibing to it, people are enjoying it, people are loving it. They don't understand a single word. So honestly, it just seems like it might be a skill issue for some of y'all that couldn't vibe to Bad Bunny.
What do you guys think is going to be like the big silent killer of our generation?
I think it's going to be colon cancer, and I think I chalk it up to all the processed foods that we're eating, antibiotics that we're taking, pesticides and forever chemicals that are all over our foods, all of our packaging, food storage containers. I think like the studies are showing that like young people are getting colon cancer, and it just makes me think about when I was a child. I was consuming sodas, fruit snacks, processed foods, chips, bags, like just everything that came in a bag, came in a can, Lunchables, just like surrounded in plastic. And so those years of like formating your gut bacteria, I was already a C-section baby, so I didn't have the strong gut microbiome that I needed. But I think studies have shown that what you eat as a child really carries you through adulthood. I think it's like specifically like in sports, like when you get like a concussion, when you're a child, like it can come haunt you when you're an adult. And I think the level of sugar that we're intaking, the salt, it can't be good.
There's no way Italy is a real place, because tell me how I just came from a job interview where at the end they asked me if I have like any upcoming trips planned or whatnot that they need to know about in case they hire me. And I rattled off, like, I'm going to Spain, I'm going to France, I'm going to England, I'm going to the United States for 2 weeks. And they were like, whoa. No, listen, we don't care about trips that are like a week long, 2 weeks. We care about things that are like a month. Are you gonna need a month off anytime soon? And I'm just in shock, because in the United States, in this situation, I would have had to have been like, oh, in October, I actually have a dentist appointment from 1 to 1:30 p.m. And they would have been like, ooh, that might be a problem. And if it's not a problem, you're gonna have to probably work early that day and maybe work late that day and not have a lunch break.
I'm an American living in England, and one thing I'm constantly surprised about is the food prices. So I do my weekly food shop at Lidl, and I want to show you everything I got for £72. Okay, so I got 2 peppers, I got a cucumber, a zucchini, which they call courgette, 6 kiwis, grapes, tomatoes, nectarines, blueberries, 2 avocados, Parmesan cheese, a salt and pepper chicken crown, a cauliflower, 2 sweet potatoes, ham, sausages, and chicken tenders, gnocchi, salmon, 15 eggs, 5 packs of chicken, which my husband uses for his lunches, olive oil spray, popcorn, 2 things of peanut butter, condensed milk, 4 things of high protein pudding, 4 instant oats that I use at work, shrimp, 2 frozen cottage pies, 5 packs of this microwavable rice, a loaf of tiger bread, a pack of sweet corn, 2 cans of chickpeas, pickles, pesto, juice, and milk, and a croissant. So all of that was 72 pounds. It was 3 bags worth. And I just feel like it would have been so much more expensive in the US. I will say, obviously, with the exchange rate, like this, I think is about $90 US dollars. But at least where I used to live in the US, this would have been like probably 120. Food here is just so much cheaper.
5 things that shocked me when I first moved to Switzerland. Number 1, how expensive their meat is. Now, I know Switzerland is expensive and that's fine, but it's like a tenner for 200 grams. You can probably find cheaper, but you really need to look. Number 2, that people float to get from point A to point B, or like float or fly to work. I live in Thun and the current in the lake is quite strong, so what people do is get waterproof bags, jump in and just float to wherever they need to go. We're actually after getting 2 bags ourselves. They sell them pretty much anywhere here and it is so handy. Number 3, how pet friendly everywhere is. You can literally bring your dog into the restaurant, shopping centres, anywhere, which is one of my favourite things about here. Number 4, cars actually stop at the pedestrian crossing. I don't know about where you live, but in Ireland, majority aren't that great at letting pedestrians pass through. And number 5, how great their English is. Kind of makes me wonder, do I even need to learn Swiss German? I probably do though.
If I tell you, imagine a rich person from Switzerland, probably think something like this, right? Banking, he has the suit on, whatever. You couldn't be more wrong. Actual rich people, at least here in Switzerland, they look like this. They can buy your whole family. This grandma right here probably made 10 million last year, and you don't even know. You don't even know. This man right here probably owns like 3 banks. So yeah, it's not like always in the movies, oh, Switzerland's super rich, they have the suit on, blah, blah, blah. An actual rich person is not wearing a suit, I'm telling you. Unless they have like a business meeting or something.
I'm an American living in Finland, which means I pay a lot of attention when I hear Americans talking about Finland, because they don't do it very often. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions that the American audience has when they're talking about things that Finland does. The Finnish and American education systems are so different in a myriad of different ways, but one of the talking points I hear all the time is Finland doesn't start school until 7, which is a really weird talking point because first grade in the US doesn't start until 7 either. Preschool and kindergarten in the United States are the exact same timing as viskari and eskari in Finland. The difference is that viskari and eskari are part of the daycare system, early childhood education. Kindergarten and preschool are seen as part of school. There is very little difference in what kids are actually learning between eskari and kindergarten. The way I hear this used is by people who think that kids don't need any kind of introduction to counting or the alphabet before the age of 7. The people who want to do the unschooling route will use Finland as an example for why it's totally normal. And there's 2 problems with that. First of all, Finland teaches about letters and numbers in early childhood education as early as 3. So it's not like kids aren't being exposed to these ideas. Finland doesn't expect kids to start trying to read until 7, but that doesn't mean they're not expected to start to understand letters and phonics. The other thing is that Finnish is a much easier language to learn than English. In Finland, it's just phonics. You take the phonics and you apply it to the letters on the page. There's this great style of children's books where they take the words and they break them down into syllables with little dashes to make it easier for someone to sound it out using just phonics. It's great. In English, you have a lot more memorization to do to get to the same reading level as you could in Finnish. It's a much slower process. It's a lot more about memorization and patterns and less about just pure phonics. The other thing I see is that Finland doesn't have homework, which is also not true. I have a first grader in Finland. He has homework. He's supposed to do it in the after-school program so that he doesn't have to bring any of it home. But that's not always what happens. So they did not have homework in Eskari. They only had homework once when they were practicing going to school. The biggest differences between the United States and Finland in their education systems is all about time. How much time kids are in school, how much time they get for breaks, how much time they're expected to spend at a desk at one dedicated point in time, and how much testing there is. Those are big, huge critical differences. One of the other things I see is that people talk about all the things that Finland does as far as social welfare and a social security net. Things like unemployment, things like Kela and maternity leave and public transportation. And they say, Finland can do that because they're small and homogeneous. That phrase is a really easy way of saying that I'm not even going to consider it. And it frustrates me so much because the American mindset does not see diversity in any terms other than race. If you look at diversity outside of the spectrum of race and look at it as cultural diversity and people coming from other nations, Finland actually has a much higher diversity than the majority of the United States. And of course, most people think about Finland as Lapland, because if you only are exposed to Finnish tourism content, you only see Lapland, and they think we're in this huge snowy place. Because I come from the north. I come from snow countries. Wisconsin winters get colder than the winters here in Helsinki. So when people are talking about Finland as Lapland, and I'm like, ooh, I am not in the Arctic Circle. That is a very different thing. If you have any other misconceptions, let me know.
Hi guys, welcome back once again. We all know one of the biggest difference people point to is the relationship between work and personal life. Across much of Europe, employees generally receive more paid vacation, stronger legal protection for time off, and shorter average working hours than workers in the United States. Many Europeans describe their philosophy as working to live, not living to work. They see time with family, hobbies, and rest as an important part of a successful life, not something earned only after decades of work. In contrast, many Americans work long hours, receive fewer guaranteed vacation days, and often feel pressure to stay connected to work, even after leaving the office. Critics argue that this can lead to a stress and burnout, while supporters say American culture rewards ambition and create greater opportunities for financial success. Another thing, healthcare is another major difference. Most European countries provide universal or near universal healthcare funded through taxes or social insurance. People still pay taxes and in some countries additional insurance contribution, but they generally don't face the same kinds of medical bills that can occur in the United States. America has world-class hospitals and medical research, but healthcare costs can be much higher than in most European countries. For an uninsured or underinsured patient, treatment can become very expensive. This has led to many Americans to worry about medical debts, while many Europeans see public-funded healthcare as one of their biggest advantage. And this is why in America, a lot of Americans, they are even afraid to become sick. They are even afraid to call an ambulance simply because the healthcare cost in America is so much expensive compared to European countries. Another thing is that education is another frequently discussed. We have all seen university tuition is often much lower in many European countries than at many American universities. Although the system differ widely from maybe country to country, supporters argue that affordable educations give young people more opportunities without carrying large student loans. On the other hand, many of the world's highest ranked universities, maybe they're saying that are in the United States, but the fee is so much expensive. Europeans, they offer to pay less fee because they want their children not to have maybe a burden when it comes to loan. And many European cities have extensive train. When we talk about or when we come to public transportation, it's another comparison. Many European cities have extensive train, bus, and metro systems that allow residents to travel without owning a car. American cities vary widely. Some have excellent transit system, while many communities depend heavily on cars because of their size and development pattern. Another issue that frequently appear in discussion is public safety. Some Europeans say they appreciate living in countries with lower rates of maybe gun violence than the United States. At the same time, crime rate and safety differ across both Europe and America, and a broad comparison can overlook important local difference because Europeans, they are afraid of maybe that gun violence. They're coming out and saying that I can't move to a country whereby my safety isn't guaranteed, where maybe children, they are not safer. Children are not safer at school. This is the reason why many Europeans don't want to go to America. Another thing is taxes are also part of the debate. Many Europeans accept higher taxes because they receive services such as healthcare, public transportation, and social benefit in return. Americans generally pay lower taxes in many situations, but often spend more out of pockets on healthcare, higher education, childcare, or transportation. The debate ultimately comes down to what people believe government should provide and what individuals should pay for themselves. Then there is immigration. Some Americans are puzzled that many Europeans are not eager to move to the United States, while at the same time, political debate in America often focus on reducing immigrants from other parts of the world. The reason people migrate are complex. Someone from a country with high living standard may have different priorities than someone living conflict, poverty, or political instability. Migration decisions depend on jobs, family, language, safety, and personal goals, not just one country reputation. And this is the reason why we've all seen a lot of Europeans, they prefer living in Europe because the quality of life in Europe is so much better compared to America. When it comes maybe to healthcare, when it comes to school fees, when it comes to transportation, many Europeans, they see like Europe offer a better quality of life compared to America. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this clip. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, share. Let me see you in the next clip. Be blessed whenever you are.